Hi, I'm Professor Piggy, and today we will talk about memory, RAM of our computers. It's one of the most important, but maybe one of the most misunderstood parts of your entire machine. I'm sure you've heard someone ask, so how much memory does your PC have? Well, they're talking about this stuff right here. So let's dive in and really figure out what it's all about. Okay, first things first, what in the world is RAM? Well, it stands for Random Access Memory, and the best way to think about it is as your computer's short-term memory. It is totally different from your hard drive or SSD. That's for long-term storage. RAM is a super fast but temporary workspace for whatever your computer is doing right this second. We're talking the browser tab you're looking at, the game you're playing, all of it. So in this explainer, we're going to break it all down into 5 key parts. We'll kick things off with a really simple analogy. Then we'll look at the different shapes and sizes it comes in. After that, we'll get into the different generations, figure out how to make it go even faster, and finally, we'll take a quick peek at some special memory that powers the big league servers. All right, let's jump into section 1. To really get what RAM is doing inside your computer, we're going to use this simple but perfect analogy that'll make it all click, the Workbench. Okay, imagine your computer's hard drive is this giant filing cabinet in the back room. It stores everything, right? Your operating system, games, photos, the whole shebang. But trying to work directly out of that cabinet would be painfully slow. So when you want to open a program, you go to the cabinet, grab the files you need, and you put them on your Workbench. And that is your RAM. It's this super fast active workspace. But, and this is the most important part, when you turn off the lights for the day or the power suddenly goes out, the Workbench gets wiped completely clean. That's what we call volatile memory. Poof, it's gone. So we know what RAM does, but what does it actually look like? I mean, it's not just some idea floating around in the cloud. It's a physical thing. And it basically comes in 2 main sizes. First up, we've got the DIMM. This is the big brother, the standard stick of RAM you're going to find in pretty much any desktop computer. And then you've got its smaller sibling, the SODIMM. I mean, look at it. It's about half the size, which makes it absolutely perfect for cramming into the tiny spaces inside laptops and other small gadgets. At the end of the day, it's the same technology, just in a much more compact, kind of cute package. Now, you've probably heard people throw around terms like DDR3, DDR4, or the new hotness, DDR5. These are not just random numbers, okay? They represent different generations of RAM technology, and trust me, the differences really do matter. The main thing you need to remember is actually super simple. With each new generation, RAM gets faster and it gets more power efficient. It's a total win-win. You get better performance, and it uses less electricity to get the job done. And you can see this evolution right here in the numbers. Just look at that voltage column. It drops steadily from 1.5 volts for DDR3 all the way down to just 1.1 volts for DDR5. You'll also notice the number of pins, those little gold connectors, changes between generations. And that brings us to a really important point about compatibility. Now, this is just a brilliant bit of engineering. You literally cannot install the wrong generation of RAM into a motherboard. Why? Well, because each type, DDR3, DDR4, DDR5, has a little notch, a key, cut out of the bottom in a slightly different spot. This physically stops you from forcing, say, a DDR4 stick into a motherboard that needs DDR5. It's a fantastic, foolproof design that has saved so many people from a very expensive mistake. So, we know newer RAM is faster. That's a given. But here's a little trick that motherboards use to squeeze even more performance out of the memory you already have. It's called dual channel. Let's go back to analogies for a second. Using just one stick of RAM is like having a single-lane road between your memory and your processor. Sure, data can get through, but it can get backed up, a traffic jam. But when you install 2 sticks of RAM in a dual-channel setup, it's like opening up a whole second lane on that highway. You've just doubled the path for data to travel. And in the real world, this can give you a noticeable performance boost. It's just a simple way to get more speed. So how do you actually set this up? It's way easier than you might think. First, for best results, you'll want to use a matched pair of RAM sticks, so 2 or 4 that are exactly the same. Next, just look at the memory slots on your motherboard. You'll almost always see they're color-coded. Maybe you've got 2 black and 2 blue. Now here's the key. To get dual channel working, you install your sticks in the slots of the same color. You usually have to skip a slot in between. So 1 stick in the first blue slot and the second stick in the other blue slot. That's it. All right, before we wrap this all up, let's just quickly touch on a special type of memory. You're not going to find it in your average gaming PC, but it is absolutely critical in the professional world, and that's ECC RAM. ECC stands for Error Correcting Code. So in the world of ones and zeros that computers speak, sometimes a single bit can randomly flip from a 1 to a 0 or vice versa. It's rare, but it can happen, and it can cause crashes or corrupt your data. Well, ECC RAM is designed to catch these tiny little errors and fix them on the fly, instantly, without the system even noticing. So the bottom line here is that this is specialized, server-grade stuff. You'll find it in systems where a data error is just not an option. We're talking scientific research computers, bank servers, medical equipment. It does cost more, and you need a motherboard that specifically supports it. So for your home PC, yeah, it's probably overkill. But for those mission-critical jobs, it is absolutely essential. And there you have it, our grand tour of the world of RAM. From thinking of it as your computer's workbench, to telling the difference between DDR4 and DDR5, and even knowing how to speed it up with that dual-channel highway, you are now equipped with the knowledge to really understand your computer's short-term memory. Which, of course, leaves me with one final question for you to go figure out. Do you know which DDR generation your own PC is using?